Charlemagne the God just signed a deal worth roughly $200 million over 5 years with iHeartMedia. That's $40 million a year to keep doing The Breakfast Club and expand his podcast network. 20 years ago, he was getting fired from radio stations in South Carolina for getting into fights. 10 years ago, people said podcasts would never make real money. Now he's one of the highest paid personalities in the media. And he did it by betting on something nobody else believed in. Today, you're going to see exactly how he built this empire, the move that paid off, and what you can learn from someone who turned controversy into a $250 million business. 1. The foundation, getting fired over and over. He started in radio at a local station just outside of Charleston, South Carolina, making practically nothing, and he kept getting fired. Let's go back to where this actually started. Because Charlemagne didn't come from money or connections, he grew up in a small town outside Charleston. He started in radio at a local station making practically nothing, and he kept getting fired. He got fired from one station for getting into a physical fight. He got fired from another for violating company policy. He moved to New York in the mid-2000s and worked his way through Hot 97 and other stations, but he wasn't a star yet. The lesson here, if you're going to build something big, you're probably going to fail multiple times first. Charlemagne got fired at least 4 times before he landed at The Breakfast Club. Most people would have quit after the second firing. He kept showing up. In December 2010, Power 105.1 in New York launched The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne, DJ Envy, and Angela Yee. The format was simple. 3 hosts talking about hip-hop culture and whatever they wanted, but here's what made it. Charlemagne asked uncomfortable questions. He didn't let celebrities give rehearsed. He pushed back. He called people out. That approach made the show controversial from day one. Within a few years, The Breakfast Club became the most important stop for anyone promoting music, movies, or politics in hip-hop culture. If you wanted to reach young Black America, you had to go through that show. The principle, controversy creates attention, and attention creates value. Charlemagne didn't play it safe. He built a brand around being honest, even when it made people uncomfortable. 3. The YouTube strategy. Free content that pays forever. Here's where Charlemagne made a move that changed everything. The Breakfast Club started uploading full interviews to YouTube for free. Most radio stations at the time were protective of their content. They wanted you to tune in live. Charlemagne and his team did the opposite. They gave everything away. That decision turned The Breakfast Club into a global brand. Someone in London could watch a Kanye West interview the same day it aired in New York. The YouTube channel exploded. Today, it has over 6 million subscribers and billions of views. Each video is monetized with ads, which means they're making money from content that already aired on the radio. The lesson, distribution matters more than protection. Charlemagne could have kept those interviews locked behind radio, but then only people in New York would have seen them by putting everything on YouTube. He built an audience that's worth hundreds of millions. If you're creating content, think about how you can distribute it as widely as possible. You make more money from a massive, free audience than a tiny paid one. For the book deal, Diversifying Income in 2017, Charlemagne published Black Privilege, Opportunity Comes to Those Who Create It. The book became a New York Times bestseller. He followed it up with Shook One, Anxiety Playing Tricks on Me in 2018. These weren't vanity projects, they were income diversification. Radio pays well, but it's one income stream. Books created a second stream. Speaking engagements created a third. TV appearances created a fourth. Charlemagne wasn't just a radio host anymore. He was a media personality with multiple revenue sources, which gave him leverage in negotiations. If you're building wealth, this is critical. You need more than one way to make money. Charlemagne built a portfolio of income streams, which made him less dependent on any single deal. 5. The Black Effect launch, 2019. In 2019, Charlemagne launched the Black Effect podcast network in partnership with iHeartMedia. This was the big move. Instead of just being the talent, he became the executive. He signed other creators, produced their shows, and took a cut of the revenue. The network started with a few shows and has grown to over 30 podcasts covering everything from true crime to mental health to politics. Charlemagne doesn't host most of them. He curates them, produces them, and monetizes them. That means he's making money from other people's work, not just his own. This is a shift from employee to owner. When you're the talent, you get paid for your time. When you're the executive, you get paid for other people's time. Charlemagne created a network that generates revenue whether he's working or not. That's how you build real wealth. The Black Effect deal is a huge part of why his new contract is worth $100 million. iHeartMedia isn't just paying him to show up at The Breakfast Club. They're paying him to build and expand a podcast network that could eventually rival Joe Rogan's. 6. The leverage play. Knowing when to walk. Here's the part nobody talks about. Charlemagne's previous contract with iHeartMedia was expiring. Other companies were circling. Spotify, Amazon. All of them wanted The Breakfast Club. Charlemagne could have left and taken the show, or he could have started his own independent network. That optionality gave him leverage. iHeartMedia knew that if they didn't pay him, someone else would. The $200 million deal wasn't charity. It was a competitive bidding situation where Charlemagne held all the cards. Your leverage comes from having options. If you're locked into one job with no alternatives, you can't negotiate. But if you have multiple offers or the ability to walk away, you can name your price. That's why building skills, reputation, and relationships matters. The more valuable you are, the more options you have. 7. The mental health advocacy, building a different brand. In recent years, Charlemagne has talked openly about therapy, anxiety, and mental health. That's not typical for hip-hop media, where the culture often values toughness over vulnerability. but it's expanded his audience beyond. That shift is smart business. Hip-hop has a ceiling. Mental health advocacy doesn't. By expanding his brand, he's made himself valuable to a wider audience, which increases his earning potential. Advertisers who wouldn't sponsor a hip-hop morning show will sponsor mental health content. The principle, don't box yourself in. Charlemagne started in hip-hop radio, but he didn't limit himself to that. He wrote books, launched podcasts, talked about mental health, interviewed politicians. Each expansion opened up new revenue opportunities. The iHeartMedia Partnership. Why it's bigger than radio. iHeartMedia owns 850 radio stations across the country. They're one of the largest audio companies in the world. By partnering with them instead of going fully independent, Charlemagne gets access to their infrastructure, their ad sales team, their distribution network, and their promotional power. That's worth more than just money. If he had gone independent, he'd have to build all of that himself. By staying with iHeartMedia, he gets to focus on content while they handle the business side. The $200 million deal includes keeping the Breakfast Club on air, expanding the Black Effect network, and likely getting a bigger percentage of ad revenue and podcast monetization. The lesson, you don't always have to go independent to win. Sometimes the right partnership gives you more leverage than going solo. Charlemagne could have built his own network, but it would have taken years and cost millions. Partnering with iHeartMedia let him scale faster. 9. What the $200 million actually means. Let's break down what this deal probably looks like, because $200 million over 5 years doesn't mean $200 million in his pocket. A portion of that goes to producing the Black Effect shows. A portion goes to staff salaries, production costs, and operating expenses. Charlemagne's personal take is probably closer to $60 to $80 million over 5 years, which is still life-changing money. But here's what matters. He built a brand around honesty. He distributed his content everywhere for free. He diversified his income streams. And he created a network that makes money whether he's working or not. He didn't get lucky. He grounded out for 20 years and positioned himself so that when the opportunity came, he had the leverage to demand what he was worth. So here's the question. What's one thing you're doing that could turn into multiple income streams 5 years from now? Drop it in the comments.